Okay, if I can have your attention, it's 5:30 or close to it, and we're going to call the meeting to order. First item up is the Pledge of Allegiance, and Mr. Matt Hodges is going to lead us.
That's right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Our mission statement will be read tonight by Ms. Elton Booth.
Beaufort County Schools will provide quality educational programs and services to ensure student academic and vocational success.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any public comments? No one signed up for public comment, so next item is approval of the agenda, and it should be on your screen in front of you.
Move approve.
Second.
Okay, any last changes done? Or no. Okay, we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have an agenda, and that carries us straight into some special recognition, and Dr. Phipps is going to handle that for us.
I'd like to ask Mr. Clint Johnson to come up to the podium and join me. Mr. Johnson has served this year as the interim principal as we've been between individuals at Southside, and the board asked me to put something together just to recognize you for spending the better part of a year here. And I don't think we could have searched and found somebody that was a better fit to help bridge the gap, and we just appreciate your service. And this says the Beaufort County Board of Education would like to thank Clint Johnson for his dedication and service to the students and staff at Southside High School for the 2016-17 school year. We want to present this to you and say thank you.
You know you have to say a few words.
Well, it's been a great year, and I felt support from the Board of Education. I mean, y'all are the best that I've ever worked with, and especially these good teachers and Ms. Windley and the crowd at Southside. It's been it's also the best group that I've ever worked with, and the kids are the best I've ever worked with. I mean, if I could get my wife to move from the beach and come to Beaufort County, I'd move up here with you. Not just to work, just to be with you. I just kind of like to hang out with you, to be honest with you. This is a great group, and it's been a great year. So thank you for all that you've done for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll give you a chance just to greet the board, and we'd like to get a picture if you want.
Sure, I'll be back. You know what the is here. Absolutely, you've done some great favors.
Thank you. You don't really want to go back to the beach, do you? I mean, the undertow's bad.
It is bad.
Stay here with us. The Pamlico never gets that bad.
Thank you. Thank you for everything. You've got a very smart wife.
I talked with Alicia yesterday. She said she's definitely going to meet this year. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
One picture with all the staff.
Sure. I'm going to let him have my spot. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's mighty nice of them.
Should I put Otis in front?
Put him in front.
He's definitely got to get in the back.
Hurry up, I can't hold a smile.
Very nice. Well, I think that's the only recognition we have tonight. Since that's the only recognition we have tonight, if it's what you came for and you'd like to exit, I guess now's a good time. I'm not even going to say it anymore.
We will take your name, so we know who's.
That's a very smart staff.
When you want me to come visit, y'all visit.
Welcome anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming out to support him.
Yes. See you all. I've seen that many Southside people here at one time before. So. Okay, let's, we're gonna move into approval of the board minutes. And if you'll click on that, which I'm sure you already have, there's 4 sets of minutes, if you've had a chance to look over them.
I have, move approval.
Second.
Okay. Everybody was here, I'm assuming, I can't remember. Okay, we have a motion and a second then. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. We have a few non-action items, and the first is a grant approval. It says approval from Mark Doan.
Yes, it should, I guess maybe instead of a grant approval, it should be grant recipient.
Right, I was going to say approval
Yes,
means,
sir.
I mean.
You've already
maybe
approved
think
it,
I
I'm just
missed
giving you an update. Fortunately, through the hard work of our child nutrition department and folks here at Central Services, we were able to receive the USDA grant of $94,100 to rebuild the kitchen at EdTech and turn it into a centralized kitchen. That will enable us to work with community partners to increase the number of locally grown products that will be served in our school cafeterias. We may also use that kitchen for a summer feeding program, the Collard Prep team, and a whole host of things. So this is great news for us.
Mr. Chair, if I read it correctly, I think I sent it to Dr. Phipps. We were the only school system in the whole state to receive this grant.
That may be, I believe that's the case.
I think that's correct, I think, if I read it. Right. That's good.
We deserve another round. Great.
Okay, capital budget update. Dr. Phipps.
This is under no action, and what I'd like to ask you to take a look at is now that we have the appropriation at the local side from the county commissioners, we know what our numbers are, and we have quite a bit of work to do to go back and cut programs and things that we were going to do out, projects. If you take a look at the first attachment that you have, it is the capital request that we presented to the county commissioners that has the location, the request, and the estimated cost, all that. But down on the very bottom, the next to the last page has a highlighted section that you'll see in yellow. These are the projects that have been pulled out that will be done in the county commissioners' financed project option or piece that they have for this school year. So these were capital projects that we had that are going to be pulled out and taken care of that by that special money. We received an additional $125,000 in addition to what was left over in capital, which is about a $455,000 bonus that we have to do everything else. Then the question is, we've got, as you see, a couple $1 million in need that we presented, and we don't have that kind of funding in terms of our allocation. So what I've done in the second attachment, which is a very short list, obviously, with what we're working with, our system-wide technology request originally was $400,000. I've reduced that to $350,000, and then we have these other projects. There's 7 other projects. I've talked with Stan, and we've looked at the list. These are the things that we feel like are priorities. We come in a little bit higher than the $455,000 that we've got to work with. We have about $110,000 in fund balance that if we elect to appropriate to get these 7 projects done, we can. But what I wanted to ask you to do is to take a look at this revised short list and then take a look at the original list of projects that aren't in yellow. And if you think there's something on that original list that needs to be carried over, that's the discussion we need to have when we meet next week to determine what our final list is going to be. The point I want to make is that I'm already thinking about budget presentation for 2018, and the projects that we don't get done this year are going to have to be on that list again. So we will be coming back with a bigger, longer list because those items are not going away. But given the amount of money that we have to work with, I've tried to put together for you a prioritized list, and that's what we have here. So when we meet, we need to have that taken care of so that we can give some description to the county manager so that he can do the work he needs to do moving forward. So no action tonight. Would like to have a vote on it when we meet next week.
Any questions or comments concerning capital? No comments.
I just think it's a darn shame, and I'm gonna keep it clean, that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. Well, that's what I was going to say is if the board is not going to comment, then I would just, for the time being, keep my thoughts to myself.
Well, then I'll open my big mouth again. Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
We just need more time to process it.
I want
That's
you
right.
to.
This
I
is my
would say
first
open
input.
your big mouth, but I'm not saying, Mac, you have a big mouth.
I think,
But more comments would be welcome, and we'll handle it next week.
I think most of us share a disappointment in the fact that it's very hard to pick and choose, and
cherry pick which projects, because they're all needed, in my opinion, or they would have never been on the list.
Did the commissioners give us any reason why they handpicked certain items that they demand that we use?
Those are items that are supposed to have a 10-year or longer life. So they were roofing projects, asphalt projects, the 2 activity buses, those types of projects.
Part of the county budget includes a $3 million loan that the county commissioners have decided to make. Has nothing to do with us. They decided to make that. And to be an item on that loan, it needs to have a 10-year life because they're going to borrow that money and pay it back over a 10-year period of time. So they wanted items that we had put on our list, as Don just said, that would be 10-year items because that's just the way they chose to do it. But I want to see that number in front of me one more time. But when you look at $479,000, and take out what's going to go to technology, there's not a lot of money to be discussing. But all I would ask you, and we'll talk about it at the budget meeting, is hold this in your mind for future reference when you hear the comments, because they will come one day, that the school system has not properly maintained their facilities. Be sure you remember that this is what you got to maintain those facilities. About $150,000, give or take. Because I can go ahead and tell you years in advance what my answer is going to be to that comment. Okay, let's move on. Let me clean this board here. Board policy revisions. Dr. Phipps.
This is the first presentation to you. These will sit for 2 months, 2 readings. But just like you to go ahead and take a look, the majority of these are legal reference updates. You'll see that anything new is highlighted in the underlined red. Anything that's going to be removed is striped through, and you can see the notations. But we'd like to put these in front of you, and then we'll revisit them again in July, and then we'll look at approval in August.
Okay.
And these are from the School Board Association and the customization process that we normally go through.
So you got plenty of time to look over.
Yes.
And that's going to carry us into action, but at this point, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Budget amendments, but this time it's going to be Mr. Willie Mack Carrollman.
Okay, you've got, I think, 5 before you this evening. We have your second budget amendment for the state monies. The PRCs originally were done by purpose code. I believe your budget ordinance is also done by purpose code. In talking with Dr. Phipps, it makes more logical sense to do them in PRCs because that's where our funding comes down from Raleigh. So being that our original budget ordinance was passed in the purpose code, I will bring before you at your next meeting just a summary so you can see them by the purpose code. But I like this format, and I hope you all do too. To me, it's a lot more understanding of what the pieces are. Essentially, between what the current budget is now within the state funds, it's $4,039,882.74. We had a reduction of $350,251.73. Part of that had to do, we receive our at-risk money in one pot, but Beaufort County Schools has selected to break it into 2 PRCs. I didn't know that, so I had brought it in an additional part for the PRC 68. So that's why one of the reasons that it's a reduction compared to what it was before. So the revised budget, if approved, would be $42,689,667.01. Would you like me to go through them all and then you all? Okay.
Not unless there's a question by the board.
Okay. Your next one is basically just showing you, this is your second budget amendment on the local, just the shifting within the monies within the local PRCs. There again, the net effect will be 0 because we are working with fines and forfeitures and the county appropriated dollars.
Mr. Cowan, vocational education, they're cutting it close on it. It's $6.08.
Yes, sir. But I believe that was where I inherited it. I haven't touched it so
Oh,
far.
you haven't, okay. You haven't put your touch on it yet, okay.
And I'm hoping they have money elsewhere, and I'm pretty sure they do.
Don't spend it all in one place, right?
Man, you can't even buy a pound of nails today.
Your next one is your first budget amendment for the school funds. I know that in one of our earlier meetings, there was discussion over what their funds were and had to bring them in line. This brought them in line as the audit of June 30th, 2016, the revenues that came in for it. We did have to, in talking with some of the board members and the superintendent, being that some of their budgets had been overstated and they had utilized those funds, we did transfer some additional money from local to make it good, and so their budgets are current. They understand that their monies will not be brought forward into the budget resolution, but after June 30th and we know what their ending balances are, we will then budget it for them. So hopefully we can eliminate this confusion in the future.
So they'll all be balanced, okay.
The next item is your after-school child care program. There again, this is the same thing. We brought the carryover monies. Their monies have been budgeted as soon as they receive those revenues. And there again, their monies will be budgeted after we know what their June 30th year-end dollars are. There again, we will have a little bit of a discrepancy based on what we pay and then what the auditors say is a payable that we would have to backdate into June 30th. But that one, Fund 6 did increase, or the revenues were about $910,000. The child care program, so far the revenues are about $112,000 based on the current budget. Now keep in mind, in this budget, the original budget was their fund balance plus some additional revenues. So when you look at it, the 112 seems a little bit low, but there were some budgeted revenues already in their original budget. And that's, your last one is what we call Fund 8. These PRCs are based on grant applications and programs that we have within the additional, they're additional local monies, but yet they are specific to grant applications and programs within Beaufort County Schools that are separate from those monies that are subject to charter school restrictions. And the current budget, or the original budget, was $1,357,000, and the grant programs, or the revenues that have come in thus far, or modifications in the budget, were $376,105.07, and their current budget, if approved, or amended budget, would be $1,733,898.65.
Gotcha.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Calvin, going back to the after-school child care,
Yes, sir.
we had a lot of conversation several months ago about this, and I know you inherited a lot of stuff when you came on board, and there were some questions about what figures were correct. To your knowledge, are these figures here the correct figures that we are supposed to be dealing with now?
Yes, these figures are correct based on what their carryover monies were and their revenues received to date.
So this should put this to rest. This is it.
The other piece, and we have met with the 3 schools, and we've explained that there are restrictions on the monies on how they can be spent, and they understand that there are some ways they can make it beneficial for them. But we've had those conversations with each of the 3 principals.
Because I think the conversation back yonder was the schools were saying one amount, central office at that time were saying something else.
Correct.
But we're now both on the same page singing the same song, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We went
That's all I
back
need
to
know.
2012, and we are current.
There's no more finger pointing.
No.
Okay.
We take this vote to be a done deal.
I hope so. Okay. All right.
Okay. Any questions about any of this? Then-
Move approval.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any further questions? Discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye. Anybody opposed to this amendment? Okay. Good deal.
I'm dragging it.
CTE plan, and I think we have. I see it all in anyway.
You have folders in front of you that have some information that we also handed out at our joint advisory
meeting, when we had meetings in April, we held joint advisory meetings with Beaufort Community College and businesses in the area. They seem to like that a lot because they don't have to go to multiple advisory meetings, and I'll just mention that in this brief PowerPoint. Also, you just have what's offered at each of our comprehensive high schools, just some facts on CTE, and one of those facts actually is that the graduation rate for CTE completers. In Beaufort County, it's just above 94% in 2016. Our graduation rate, as y'all know, has increased over time for overall, and we continue to see that if students are involved in CTE, that they do graduate at an even higher rate. So we are proud of that. We also have some information in there on internships and a couple things on credentials, just to give y'all some background of what we're sharing with some of the businesses and agencies within the county. So I'm just going to go on to this so we don't spend a whole lot of time here. I come each year. Every CTE director is required to come to the board for approval for their local plan. It's written each year. And you can view that. You can actually go and even Google North Carolina CTE LPS, which is the local planning system, and go in and look at the entire plan, which is about 70 or so pages that's written every year. But I'll just hit the highlights here.
And we're following you on here. We don't turn around.
Oh, that's fine. Yes, you do have it on your screens.
We see it right here.
You do have it on your screens. And I just wanted to not to add anything to the budget thing, but I just want you to understand how the budget does work for CTE. A lot of areas, maybe like Title I and different things, have carryover, meaning if they don't spend, they have like an 18-month spending time for their money. In CTE, what we are given on July 1, we must spend out by June 30th. There is no carryover. If we don't spend it, we lose it. So just to kind of let you know how that works, because we try to kind of play the Price is Right game, I guess, if you say, get to the highest number without going over, so to speak. So if you had any questions on that, that's gotcha. Just to give you a little background, we do have CTE classes at all middle and high schools. Over 4,000 students are enrolled in those classes each year. I think this past year it was about 4,200, somewhere in that range. We do career academies through the what we call the EWIF grant. It's also known as the Governor's Innovation Grant. We've spoken to you on previous occasions about the EMT Public Safety Academy that actually Mr. Harrell does at Southside, the Automotive Academy at Northside, and then this year we started working with the Performing Arts and Industrial Design at Washington High School, and you'll see a couple pictures related to that. We also have articulated college credits from CTE if they achieve high enough on their post-assessment and their grade, and then we do really emphasize those stackable industry credentials, which we'll see some numbers in just a minute about that. We also, this year actually, and you'll see numbers on this as well, we're trying to increase our work-based learning. Common sense tells us that if we can get our students into work-based learning activities, that they're going to perform better as they exit our schools and go into our communities to try to obtain jobs. So this year we actually increased our internships from just over 50 to almost 100. We had, I think, 94 this year. And then we have our continuing implementation of the grad program, which y'all have heard about previously. Here we go. Last year, and we have not finished calculating this year, that's why you don't have the complete number for this year, that's still in process. Last year we achieved 1,850 credentials, and then in the fall we had 839 just in the fall semester. I told you about our internships. We had a 100% pass rate for all. We only had 14 nursing assistant students this spring, but we had a 100% pass rate, which is very good. That does not always happen. And so our health science teachers work really hard to make that happen. And we had a little bit of a glitch this year with our testing system across the state, and we were really happy that it came all together. I've worked really closely this year with the Beaufort Industry Innovation Council, which is a subcommittee of the Committee of 100. And then there's a subcommittee of the subcommittee, I guess, if you will, that I work directly with Jerome Dancy at NC Works, which many of you may know is the old unemployment office. It's a new name, it's NC Works. We work with Martin Johnson, our economic developer with Beaufort Community College, and myself, and we go out to businesses on a regular basis. I tell Andrea and Dr. Phipps sometimes I feel like an economic developer more than an educator at times, but this is kind of where the two worlds meet, I guess, is my area, and I've really enjoyed it a lot. We have an apprenticeship program that we're hoping to kick off next year, which will be based on Greensboro's program, which they based off of Charlotte. But we've actually got 5 businesses currently that have agreed to work with us and actually put in money to the program so that we can start building some of those work-based learning opportunities for our students as they are in their senior year and beyond, to get them that work experience. And then I mentioned earlier, we did hold joint advisory meetings with Beaufort Community College. That might not sound like a big deal, and it sounds like common sense, but I don't know of anywhere else that has happened. It was a very good thing. We had a good group, and our businesses were very complimentary because they get dragged to so many meetings along the way. These I bring to you pretty much every year. It's the career readiness certificates that are obtained by our students. These are paid for our completers. That means they have taken 3 foundation courses and an enhancement, and at least completed a level 2 CTE course, and they get to take the CRC, the Career Readiness Certificate. And you can see as we've gone through the years, we have increased the number that we have enabled our students to achieve, and we're working to try to get as many as we can, because now Beaufort County in March was awarded the Work Ready Community status. All of the agencies I named and several others have come together to try to have that work-ready community so that businesses know that we have a workforce that's ready to go here in our county. Industry credentials I mentioned again earlier, and you can see they've increased each year. We have really pushed the credentials in our classes, because we're finding that employers are saying we don't care so much what kind of degree you have in some cases. We want to know you have the skills to be able to do the things that we need you to do. And those credentials oftentimes will place students in advantageous areas for those jobs. Some of our goals. In recent years, we have not achieved as high as we would like to see on our proficiency. In CTE, every course is post-assessed. So we have all of our teachers are measured and our students are measured by that post-assessment. There are 100-item tests for each of our courses. And we want to reach 80%. We did that one time about 4 or 5 years ago, and since that time we had dropped some. Many reasons for that, not to belabor the point, we need to get back where we once were. We are working together, and you know, just different things affected a lot of it. This year we had 2/3 of our CTE staff were brand new, mainly at the high school level. But they did well, actually. We're hoping to reach, the best I can tell so far, because we're still calculating data, we're still going to be looking at the high 60s for our proficiency for this year. So we've already got some plans in place for next year. We want to increase those credentials every year. We want to continue those joint advisory boards with Beaufort. We want to close that achievement gap, and I know you hear this in other tested areas as well. We have that as well for our special populations. Now, special populations in CTE is a little different from some of the other, you might think off the bat, exceptional children, English language learners, those are all special pops, but also females who are in ag are special pops. Males who are in health sciences are special pops. So they keep a lot of data. If you're in a non-traditional role, that's part of special populations as well. So we analyze all of that data. We want to increase always our career and technical student organizations because they go along with what we teach in our classes. And we want, of course, to broaden the advanced manufacturing pipeline. We know that that is still the #1 industry in Beaufort County, and that is actually our highest paying industry in Beaufort County is still our manufacturing. And so we want to prepare students, if they want to go into that field, to be able to do so and not have a difficult time obtaining those skills. Just a quick reference to our visual performing arts and industrial design. We use those EWIF funds this year to strengthen our current arts program and our drafting program. Excuse me just a minute. You'll see a couple pictures in a minute. This upcoming year, we have been working with some of our arts teachers. They teach Adobe anyway in arts courses. What we would like for them to be able to do is credential those students in the Adobe so they can go into the art world and say, hey, I have this credential. I can actually do this. So we've been working with them and trying to integrate the curricula. That's one of the things we need to work on this coming year. We also want to, hopefully in the future, pursue a health sciences academy perhaps, providing that the money still holds out for the grant in the next couple of years. And we hopefully expect that to happen. We did have a representative from the governor's office who came this spring and indicated that she was very happy with what she saw and that hopefully if the state agreed that we would continue with the funds. And we also just enhanced the P.S. Jones STEAM Lab in digital arts. And then you'll just see a couple of pictures. This is one of our CNC machines. Our businesses are really happy that we have those. This is the top of the line at Washington High School. It's big enough to do a full sheet of plywood. It does all kinds of other materials. And also, we purchased a scaled-down version of this for Southside High School that does similar things, but not quite as nice because we use CTE funds for it. These are students at Washington High School. This is when they were first getting started. They are still really excited about it, and so they're really starting to use it a lot to do different things. This is the MAC lab that was put into the arts program. They are using these with a lot of their digital art, so to speak, but they still do their regular arts that they always did, but this is an enhancement. They've never had the program and capability to be able to do the things they can do now. And there's just some students that were using it. I just wanted to throw in a couple pictures so you could see what it looks like. And that's it for our update.
Thank you very much. Anybody have any questions for Wendy?
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So we need to get an approval on this plan.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you very much. I see next item, NERSPA, Dr. Fitt.
Just want to give you an update. There was some questions, I guess a few meetings ago, about the number of students that were in the regional school in Jamesville that came from Beaufort County, and the concern that we had that Beaufort County was carrying a lot of the weight in terms of student population. Mac and I serve on the board, and we've brought that up in the last two meetings, and I had a board meeting last week, and the conversation was around that topic, one of the conversations, and a committee has been formed. Mac is on that committee, and we're looking at what can be done to try to lighten the load so that we're not going to be able to continue to move forward. And I don't want to make a recommendation that we pull out, but we're saying that there's going to have to be some relief. We shouldn't be carrying 35% of the load of the freshman class. We don't have 35% of the population that makes up that school. So Mac and a couple of other board members there are going to be working on that, and we'll come back to you with some plans. But we just wanted to give you an update as we close out the school year, academic year, that we are dealing with that at the regional school as well.
Dr. Phipps, will that have an impact on this coming year?
No.
So
it would be moving forward after the students that are this year students
that have been accepted
would not
still
impact
accepted.
them.
Okay.
So what are our enrollment numbers gonna look like for next year?
I think the number's either 22 or 21, but one of those is from the Montessori school. Another, I think, is from a home school or from a school outside the county. So we're under 20 for this year.
So what does that put us at total though for the school?
Total number, I don't know. I think-
225 altogether.
No, I mean, but for Beaufort County, we got more than
Beaufort
20.
County.
We got
I think we were
70.
61 last year.
60 or
So
70.
61 plus
Then we had the
20.
graduation last week,
Right.
so we.
So some's out, some's in.
Yeah, you'll be somewhere in this, probably around 70,
We'll
65,
probably get
70.
an updated list of all the
Yeah.
ones.
Okay.
in the next
So we've
week.
worked on that. We want to make sure that things are being done the way they should be.
We just want to be treated fairly.
That's right.
Okay.
And there has been a contact already to one of the counties that we had question about, and so we're going to work on them. Go from there.
Appreciate
We
it.
may have to look at maybe even expanding our school coverage to other counties.
There you go. Okay.
And there has been other counties that has inquired about being a part of it.
Because they need a certain number of students over there, I'm sure, at school.
It's just like any other, it's a business that's got to run.
That's what I'm
You know,
saying,
but
yeah.
we don't need to be the one being the one
Can't all
doing the
come
running.
from us.
But when you say,
The
stuff, I
funding.
mean, I understand what you're saying, and I
Running and
appreciate y'all
funding.
working on it, but when you say stuff like they gotta be fair to us, I mean, what control, certainly we have some control over who we let out of our county to go to schools.
What
I mean, we don't have to leave it all up to them.
What we're looking at is a proportionate number, and that proportionate number would be what population does Beaufort County have in the overall general population of the school, and our number of incoming freshmen ought to represent
Right.
that proportion, and it hasn't. The last 2 years, I think this past year, we had 50% of the freshman class, and this year, I think the number's 35%, and we don't represent that much of the population, so we're trying to get that back in
Right.
bounds where it needs to be.
I mean, I'm just saying, yeah, I understand it, I'm just saying though, when they come in and they say, okay, we enroll 30, can't we say no?
I think we can say we want to put a limit on it.
Right, that's what I said, we've got to be able to say no, because they're Beaufort County students. Okay. Yeah, definitely like to hear more about that. Any questions?
Can you remind me what counties really are part of NERS, but right now, I know you've got some
Okay,
interested.
right now, it's Beaufort, Martin, Pitt, Terrell, and Washington counties.
Okay, I'm surprised Pitt doesn't make up a bigger
Yeah.
portion. Do they have another?
We are surprised too.
Yeah, do they have another school that may be drawing them on
They
the
have a-
western
They
side of the
they opened
county?
2 early colleges, and I think that has an impact.
Okay, all right.
And I can't speak for any other counties that may want to look at the same issue that we're dealing with, but that's part of the problem. When you look at the total student population, my guess is somewhere around 40,000 students total, and we don't have 20,000 students in our system. So the numbers are not where they need to be, and that's all we're asking for.
It makes no
Get them back
sense.
in bounds where they need to be.
Doesn't make any sense.
And we told them that they'd rather deal with Dr. Phipps and myself than deal with the chairman, vice chair.
And you know what? That's
We're not
probably-
gonna call in the big dog
And
just
that's,
yet.
that's probably the best advice you could give them.
So we're gonna try to take care of it.
Right, Carol?
No comment?
No comment. I bet that in a nice way.
I know, I know.
Yeah, we took that in a nice way.
Okay, good.
Any other questions? I take none. Insurance renewal, and back to Willie Mack.
In the spring, the superintendent was approached by the North Carolina School Board Trust. I believe we had our property and liability and work automobiles insurance with them in the past, and they wanted to give us some numbers. So we were looking at going ahead for our renewals with Surrey, our current provider, and we provided them with the same information that Surrey was looking at for the renewal. Based on those numbers, it is staff's recommendation that we continue our insurance coverage with Surrey. Essentially, there was a $7,000 difference between the automobile coverage that we were going to be getting from the school board trust, and workers' comp was an additional $14,400. Surrey's premiums came in. Our workers' comp actually decreased our premiums by $10,200. Workers' comp is based on a 4-year average of your claims. The first year is eliminated, so it's really those last 3 years. So evidently we've had a larger year that has dropped off, so our premium is taking a nice bounce with it. Our automobile insurance did increase by $1,267. There was no increase on our garage liability, and the boiler and mechanics coverage only went up $70. So we would again ask that we continue our coverage with Surrey.
We
Now, we do-
normally don't, we haven't brought this as an item in the past, but we were approached by the folks from the School Board Association, and I told them we certainly are always looking for an opportunity to put bids out to try to get the most competitive and attractive rate for us. And when Willie Mack and I talked about it, I felt like you all needed to see it to know we've gone through the process, just in case this comes up a year or two down the road, you know that we did deal with it this year in a competitive format to try to get the best rate that we could get for ourselves.
And down those lines, the property insurance, we usually go through the North Carolina DPI, and talking with Dr. Phipps, he would like me to bring that before you. We have renewed that policy. It did only go up $2,100 this year, but we'll be bringing that to you around March of next year.
But you just asked for approval of the premium amendment. You don't
Yes, sir.
I see it.
Move approval.
Second.
I'm sorry.
I got a
I
question.
got some questions. On the automobile list, I see a lot of vehicles on there with $1,000 deductibles for comp and collision, that the vehicles probably aren't worth $1,000.
Good point.
I mean, some of them have, I guess, no charge listed. But has somebody been through this list to make sure that I mean, there's trailers on there with comp and collision coverage on them? I mean, the first two items, the Hudson trailer and the car, 99 model trailer.
There's usually a liability. In previous counties, we did carry liability and collision on trailers and hauling because there was a risk and a cost factor.
Okay,
Now, if you want me to look at
Now, liability,
raising the
I can-
deductible,
Liability, I can understand, comp and collision, and that's where, this is the deductible showing, and some of these items don't show a deductible. I just think it'd be nice if somebody just reviewed it. Jerry should probably be the one to review that list and say whether or not the vehicles are even worth carrying comp and collision coverage on them.
okay.
Got 89s on there.
It's so that we'll negotiate the rate down, if that's all right with you all.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, we submitted.
We still have to cover, but maybe not at that rate.
But they're basing it off the year model of the car and other things like that, so I wouldn't see it be pennies.
No, it's probably not a big
Yeah.
change, but.
No, but I agree. I was looking at the same thing.
Some of them pretty old. Okay, we got a
I'm not
motion and a
sure if I
second.
can
Any other
pick
discussion?
cars.
I'm sorry, go.
I don't know if I can pick actual cars. I think it may be all or nothing, but I'll double check.
As far as coverage.
Yeah.
Well, when you look at lists, there's some that are listed with no charge there, like they don't have comp and collision coverage on them. So that's why I was saying,
There may be a salvage value issue.
Some of them are pretty old, probably is that.
We'll check.
okay.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Anybody opposed? Gotcha. And that's going to carry us to a request for closed session.
I move that we go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A1 to prevent disclosure of confidential personnel files under General Statute 115C-321 and student records under General Statute 115C-402 and 20 U.S. Code 1232G.
Second.
Okay, got a motion second to go into closed session. All in favor say aye. Aye. We're in closed session. Okay, we're back in open session, and the first item up is to approve the personnel agenda.
I need to recuse myself from item H on the summer splash list.
Okay, Lisa, make a note of
Move
that.
approval with Butch's exclusion.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second with Butch noted. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Calendar for July, well, June, July it says, but
Yeah, we
June's
got-
about gone.
Got the short budget session meeting next week, which will talk about capital and also close out anything that Willie Mack has. And then the July 10th and the 18th. Notice that the 18th is a Board of Education summer retreat. And this was, we had some questions or some requests made sometime back that we have the principals come in a couple times a year, and this is going to be an opportunity for them to come in and just give you an idea of how they closed out the year and what they're looking at moving forward, and then an opportunity if you have any questions for them, kind of a general big group type thing that we're going to do at the Ed Tech Center.
And June 29th was just changed to 5 o'clock, but everybody knows
That's right.
that. Just want to make sure. And make a note that July the 10th is actually on a Monday, not
That's
a
right.
Tuesday.
That's right.
So make sure of that. Are both of these meetings, I know the first one, both of them gonna be here?
The second, the 18th is at Ed
I
Tech.
haven't read
What
it yet.
time
Let me
is
back
some of
down.
these?
The retreat's at Ed Tech.
Okay, July the 18th.
Retreat,
at Ed Tech.
5:30.
And it's at 5:30. Okay. So you're saying our 10th will be our regular meeting? Okay,
29th, we've moved to 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, yes, ma'am. Board member updates, anybody got anything to say? Superintendent,
Just like, well, you know, that I'm shooting out of here tomorrow, going to the policy conference.
Well, set some good ones. Superintendent update.
Just remind the public that we're operating on summer hours now, and that our schools will be open Monday through Thursday. Central services will be open Monday through Friday, closing at noon on Friday with limited staff working. We're also getting ready to kick off the reading summer camps and the summer feeding program. Just a lot of busy things that go on in the summer. It's not a downtime for us. We have a lot of activity, so we appreciate continued support.
Okay, any last words? If not,
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
motion is second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're out of here.
I'm still updated.